Okay, welcome to another writing lesson today. This one's called Painting with Words. Because last week I was saying in our story starters that we should be using our words to paint a picture. Using words well really helps the person reading it to create that picture in their minds. So today we're going to do painting with words, similes and metaphors today. Now, if you cast your mind all the way back to when we did poetry at the beginning of this term, we quickly skimmed over similes and metaphors because we have looked at them earlier this year and also in year 3. Today, we're going to dive into them a little bit more, and then you're going to have an opportunity to paint with your words using similes and metaphors. Just a reminder of what a simile and a metaphor actually is. Simile is when you use the words like or as to compare one object with another to suggest that they are alike. So, for example, you might be saying, she is as snug as a bug in a rug. You're comparing the girl and the snug bug in the rug, the one that's all wrapped up, to say that she's nice and cozy. This one here, he was as busy as a bee. You're comparing the boy and the bee. You know that bees are busy and they get around and they buzz all over the place, so you're suggesting that the boy is busy like that. Neil ran as fast as lightning. By comparing how fast the boy runs to lightning, you're trying to tell the person who's reading it that the boy was really fast and the boat was leaking like a sieve. So you're trying to suggest that it had lots of holes in it, comparing the boat and the sieve. So the way to spot a simile is to look for the words like or as, and that's how they'll compare the two things. A metaphor, on the other hand, is when a word or a phrase that we use to make a comparison between two things that are not usually alike. So he has a heart of stone. So you're saying that the boy and the stone, so the boy's heart is like stone, but you're comparing them, directly comparing them to show that they're similar. Ben is a pig when he eats. Notice it's not saying he's like a pig, it's saying he is a pig. So you're drawing a comparison between the way the Ben eats and the pig. He thinks he's the class clown, and the other one was she was showered with gifts. So a quick little way to spot the difference, like or as is a simile when you're comparing one thing to another, whereas a metaphor is making the direct comparison. It's not saying they're like that. You're comparing them by saying that they are that. Here's a little thing for you to do to test out if you understand or not. Pull one out from the pile, one of these cards, and drag it over to either simile or metaphor, paying particular attention to see if they're comparing it with like or as. So my brother is as brave as a lion. It's a simile. They're comparing the boy and the lion. Time is money. They're not saying time is like money or time is as good as money. They're saying time is money. So they're making a comparison between two things that are usually not the same. The road was as flat as a pancake. Notice the word as. It's a simile. You're comparing the road and a pancake, trying to let the person know how flat the road actually was. So you can keep going with the rest in the pile to see that you understand the difference between a simile and a metaphor. Now you might be saying, but why is it so important? Well, even famous authors use them all the time because similes and metaphors paint pictures with words. So I'm going to give you some examples here from Roald Dahl, very famous author, who creates beautiful images with his words that we picture in our minds. Let's have a look at what he's done. A lot of similes on this one. His room was as bare as a prison cell. It's comparing the room and the prison cell so that you can picture the prison cell and say, oh, well, if it's as bare as a prison cell, then I understand it must have been pretty bare. He was now lying full length on the ground with his head out over the river, lapping up chocolate like a dog. See how it's comparing the way that the boy was eating the chocolate and a dog, because I can picture exactly what a dog looks like when they're lapping up things. So then it gives me a great picture of what it must have looked like when the boy was lapping up chocolate out of the river. His breath smelled like air in an old cellar. It's comparing the breath and the air from the old cellar so that it paints the picture that he must have had terrible breath. Now, we've been saying it helps paint a picture, and this is the difference between using similes and metaphors and not. So you could say, there were many bright stars in the sky. Or you could say, the stars twinkled in the sky like wings of thousands of fairies. Suddenly it makes a beautiful image in my mind. You've painted a picture with your words. The concert was boring. Or the concert was as interesting as watching paint dry. Really paints that image of how boring that concert must have been. The moldy potato stinks. Or the moldy potato smelt like a dead skunk that had been rotting under the porch for weeks. Really paints the picture, or really helps my senses to understand how bad it must have smelled. Here is your task for today. You're going to use this beautiful picture here, some people stranded on a desert island, or stranded on a tropical island, I should say, stranded on a tropical island that's beautiful. You're going to use similes and metaphors to write a really descriptive paragraph. You're going to paint a picture with your words describing this scene right here. So you might be able to describe the trees, the water, the sand, the sky. You might be able to say what it's like to be on this island. You might be able to describe what it's like to be in the sunshine, to be relaxing there. Just one paragraph is fine. So we're looking at about maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 sentences, using lots of similes and metaphors and adjectives as well to see how good you are at painting a picture with your words. Once you've done it, put a photo of it here. So we're not typing again today. We're going to write it out and take a nice clear photo. And teachers would love to share some of these in our afternoon Teams meetings. So if you've done particularly well at using your words to paint a vivid picture for the teacher to make in their mind as they're reading, they'll be able to share it in the afternoon if we have time. Don't forget to include the code word. And I really look forward to seeing what you can create with similes and metaphors as your paint and your pencil as your paintbrush. Good luck, everyone.